Well, here's what's coming up today on Western Sports Roundup. They say this thing is legendary. John Douch is loving what happened in bracket number 1 of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Braxton Weitzel, he won $7,400, and he's only 18 years old. We'll tell you all about the opening 2 nights of competition in Fort Worth.
And we'll take you out to the Northeast to the first Frontier Circuit Finals. It was the Pennsylvania Farm Show and the biggest payout for any circuit finals this season. You're gonna love when you hear about this.
And let's talk about the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo. That man has no fear of the curse of wearing yellow. That's bareback rider Cooper Philippek. He just won his biggest rodeo of his young career. We will tell you all about the champions in Denver, including a big showing for Stetson Wright coming up.
He spent 91.5 on this bull. They call him Superman for a reason. Watching it back, J.E. Dunn. How about the biggest score of the National Western? 90 points!
Well, good evening, everybody, and happy Monday. You're watching Western Sports Roundup. Corey Keith alongside Steve Kenyon. It's always fun to be in the studio, and tonight we do have some breaking news. We just found out about this about 30 minutes ago, and we got to tell you all about it.
You are taking a look at Cheyenne, Wyoming, the home of the daddy of them all, and the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association's Board of Directors has voted to move the headquarters and the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame to Cheyenne, Wyoming. That news breaking on ProRodeo.com this afternoon. The PRCA and the Board of Directors have approved a non-binding memorandum of understanding to seriously consider relocating the organization's headquarters. Here's a quote from Tom Glaus, Tom Glaus, I should say, the CEO of the PRCA.
Yeah, it says, Wyoming lives and breathes rodeo. Cheyenne offers the authenticity and visibility and alignment with our sports values, the opportunity to build a purpose-driven campus that celebrates rodeo history while supporting the growth is incredibly exciting. This is good stuff.
Yeah, and Tom goes on to say that this is a big move for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, obviously. PRCA officials voting to relocate the headquarters of the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame to Cheyenne, Wyoming. We will have more on this over the next couple of days. They called this a strategic decision in moving the PRCA, and we'll talk about the dates and how long it's going to take to get all of that done as time goes by. But we're hoping to have the opportunity to have Tom Glaus join us tomorrow on Western Sports Roundup to answer some of those questions. So it's time for your Unbeatable Feeds moment on Western Sports Roundup. And as we talk about the unbeatable moment, let's talk about the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo. And let's talk about a team that tied the arena record. This is Tanner Tomlinson and Colby Payne, Corey. They are a brand new team this year, and that ties the arena record in Denver with a 3-5.
Yeah, you said unbeatable moment, but it's more like an unbeatable team. Let's take a listen of how it unfolded at the National Western.
Tanner Tomlinson, Mineral Wells, Texas. Team WNFR's Colby Payne. Folks, in the history of the National Western Stock Show, that ties the arena record.
Arena record. So looks like big things were happening at Mile High at the Denver Coliseum. Unfortunately not for the Broncos, but we don't have to talk about that. We'll talk about the rodeo proportion of all the big hype that's been happening in Denver, Colorado.
So it's a bracketed format in Denver. In round 1 in bracket 5, their first year they were 9-8. They came back and did enough to move on to the semifinals with a 4-2 on their second steer, 4-6 in the semifinals, and then 3-5. Talk about saving the best for last. They won $12,729 apiece at the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo. So there's a great way to start that brand new partnership for Tanner Tomlinson and Colby Payne.
Team roping partnerships are always unique, but that is our Unbeatable Feeds moment. Of course, that is sponsored by Unbeatable Feeds. No grain, no problem.
So let's talk about the rest of the champions of the National Western, your Kubota top story. Thank you to Kubota. Together we do more. I made a comment about Cooper Philippek. He is not one bit buying into that whole jinx about if you wear yellow, it's a jinx in the rodeo arena. Yellow hat, yellow vest, didn't matter. That kid was the college national finals champion for Gillette College in Wyoming last June. Now he's the champion of the National Western, 85.5 on Servy Brothers Memo.
Yeah, you might say he's flamboyant, but this kid is really talented. I'm excited to see what he can do. You and I had the pleasure of watching him win that collegiate title. That's just the beginning of his titles, but when he gets to win like this, he gets to go to the winner's circle with an interview.
What an unbelievable ride to kick off here in Short Coast Sunday. I mean, you got to walk us through jump for jump. What an incredible matchup that was.
Yeah, gosh dang, we probably seen her at some college rodeos there and there, and she probably wasn't that cool being a couple of years younger, but seen a couple of videos and she'd go left and right, and so I thought you just had to keep gassing her and stay small.
Now, Cooper, you've had success on the college stage, the circuit stage, but this brings out all the big dogs. You got to be feeling pretty confident moving in the rest of the winter.
Yes, ma'am. About 2 years ago, I had about the same opportunity and tried way too hard and bucked myself off.
Well, you capitalized this year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That kid is really excited about winning the National Western. He's still talking about his college days. But let's move on. Steer wrestling, Mike McGinn, the 31-year-old from Oregon, now a two-time champion of the National Western.
Yeah, he won it in 2022. He comes back and wins it again in 2026. Remember, Mike's season ended last year in Sioux Falls, and he was just a few dollars out of being in the top 15 in the world standings. You look at a 3.6 right there for Mike McGinn, $9,302. He won $5,486 in the short round alone. Saddle bronc riding, Parker Fleet coming back off of an injury, 89.5 points to win Denver.
Yeah, this is an incredible young man who's been dealing with some injuries, but now I think he has overcome that. He's won over $7,000 at this rodeo. It's his first playoff series win. This is going to be huge for a Texas Cowboy.
Yeah, absolutely. Parker Fleet with that great horse underneath him from the Cervies. Now let's talk about the tie-down roping. Dylan Hancock, St. Angelo, Texas. $9,268. The short round alone paid $5,812 as he stops the clock right there in a time of 7.1. Dylan Hancock is, I think he's just learning how good he can be. Yeah. And you see the potential of what this young man has to offer.
Yeah, he makes it look way too easy. And by the way, 7-1, that is the fastest run in the tie-down roping at the Mile High City this year. But let's go to barrel racing. It was all about a Murdoch, Minnesota cowgirl by the name of Heidi Gunderson. This is a 3-time futurity world champion of the WPRA. The horse Wonder, If I'm Lucky, owned by Shannon Kulseth. Her husband, Mark, they train a lot of great barrel horses and they get them started. It's pretty cool to watch them have success.
Here's Heidi standing by with Sierra Spratt.
Now, Heidi, you had to qualify here, meaning you had to have even more runs to get you to this spot today, but you just kept showing up and kept doing your job.
You know, that just defines that horse's year. He was a futurity horse last year. He had a phenomenal year, and he just continued to do run after run after run, and he's just made dreams come true.
He certainly has. And speaking of Lucky, you got to train him in great success, but how did you know that Lucky was ready for the pro level?
I didn't. This is his first rodeo, so we're just like really excited.
Great first rodeo. Looking forward to see what else she can do. So who was the #1 money winner at the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo? Stop me if you've heard this one before. Stetson Wright, 90 points, the highest marked ride of the rodeo on Ringling Road in the championship round, $17,196.
Yeah, don't you know when the bull riders saw the draw for the championship round, they saw Ringling Road, they said, who's gonna need to have that bull? That looks like a job for Superman, and that is what Stetson Wright has been the last couple of seasons. And of course, Superman himself standing with Sierra Spratt.
Now, Stetson, we thought we might see you in the saddle bronc riding, but turns out you had to get in that 90s to be talking right here in the bull riding, and what a ride it was.
Oh yeah, that bull, that's my 4th time getting on it, and I swear it gets harder every time I get on him.
Now, you've had success in all types of venues all year long, season after season, but what is it about Denver, this rodeo, that makes it special?
Oh, I probably hold the record for being 2nd here so many times, and finally got the bull one, got a bronc, and hopefully now I can just win it every year.
We have a feeling you're just getting started. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at the champions in the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo. You see Cooper Philippek. Mike McGinn wins the bulldogging. Tomlinson and Payne in the team roping. Dylan Hancock won the tie-down roping. Heidi Gunderson, first time her horse ever ran at a rodeo. She wins Denver. Stetson Wright in the bull riding. And Parker Fleet dominated the saddle bronc riding.
National Finals Rodeo, they were 90 points on. Come on, Fleet. Go ahead.
You heard the in-house announcer in Denver saying that they were 90 on that horse, R. Watson, Zed Bishop, the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Well, Parker Fleet wasn't quite 90, but he was darn close. 89.5 is more than enough to win the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo in Denver, and Parker Fleet joins us with a really interesting story, I think, to tell, because coming back off of an injury, has only been to a few rodeos this year, but has maximized it. Parker, congratulations and welcome to Western Sports Roundup.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me about, let's just start with that horse and that ride in Denver. Tell me about that horse. You'd never been on that horse before. I know you'd seen it. I know that's one bronc riders like. Tell me about that bucking horse.
I know Damien had actually won around at the finals this year on it, and horse bucks, and I just knew I needed to go do my job, and was sure enough happy to have him.
Hey, we're looking at your ride right now, looking at back, and it was a beautiful ride. But I want to talk about 2024 because you made the short round at the National Western, and in that same season, it was a couple of months later, you would be sidelined, need hip surgery. This has to be a little bittersweet to come back and win this rodeo finally.
Yes, sir, it is. I've been to Denver probably 4 years now, and it hasn't necessarily gone my way. And for it to work out, especially coming back, being the first few that I've entered, it feels great.
So in 2024, ProRodeo.com has an article about you. You won about $63,000 that year, finished in the top 25, top 30 in the world standings, and then had to have hip surgery. Talk about that surgery, talk about the recovery, and talk about how the rest of your body feels. Because I have this theory that you guys would have to take a whole year off to get one thing healed up. You have a chance to get all the other stuff healed up too. Am I close to being right on that, Parker?
Yes, sir. There's definitely some ailments that you don't really think about. And when I had it done, it was sure enough a process to get back to where everything was feeling right. And I didn't get on any horses or anything. I couldn't even ride just my roping horses or anything for 6 months. So it was a process for sure.
Well, I know this is how you make a living riding bucking horses, but when all this happened, you kind of had to regroup and you kind of had to do another job. Tell us what you did while you were at home recovering.
Yes, sir. One of my best friends, his dad owns a construction company, Sanders Creek Construction, and build county bridges pretty much and tear them out and rebuild them. And I just called him up when I got off my crutches and asked if he had a job for me. He said, absolutely. Just helped him and got back rolling where I could ride and stuff again. And it's been great. I've just truly blessed to have people in my life that would help me out when I need it.
Yeah, you know, it is like that. And Corey, go ahead. I know you've got another follow-up question, but I mean, these are the things that happen sometimes. You find out who your friends are.
Absolutely. So that has to be better than PT, going out and doing some physical work like that. And not only that, it probably fuels your fire for when you're healthy again to come back and get on bucking horses.
Yeah, the real job life's not real great. It kind of gets a little bitter taste in your mouth and makes you want to try a little harder for sure and get stuff rolling. But I have no complaints. I'm so happy and blessed with everybody in my life, and it's been awesome.
You have been on a handful of horses that count in the 2026 rodeo season. You won the rodeo in Hempstead. That was your very first rodeo back. I think you had some luck in Gillette at the Bucking Ball. You just got done winning Denver for over $8,300. So a minimum number of horses, but you've had some impact already. Tell me about the process of getting back to being able to ride as we take a look at you in semifinal number 1 in Denver on Survey's Redial. At some point, you had to get back on back on a spur board, back on a practice horse. Tell me about that whole process of getting back to where you could ride.
Yes, sir. It really wasn't anything much to it for me. like I said, I just kind of did my stuff and stayed working and rode the spurboard some. And finally, I just decided, heck, I'm going to try it, see what it feels like. And it felt great, so I just stayed after it.
So obviously, 2025 season sidelined pretty much the entire season because of the hip surgery in 2024. Now it's 2026, but you're still able to get into some major rodeos. Obviously, the win at the National Western. Where are we going to find you coming up in the next few weeks?
I'm going to be entering everything possible that they're going to let me into. So I'm going to give it a shot for sure and just see where the chips fall.
Well, Parker, congratulations on Denver. What a great way to start your year. Got to be some confidence. You got to feel like, okay, I can still do this. I can ride. We'll see where this ride takes you. Be kind of fun if it ended up in those yellow bucking chutes in December, wouldn't it?
That'd be the best thing possible. Let's hope it happens.
We appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on Denver and continued success.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Saddleback rider Parker Fleet, the newly crowned champion of the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo in Denver, Colorado. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, let's go to Fort Worth and see what happened in bracket number 1. That was Friday and Saturday at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Who lit them up? Who turned in the fastest times? Who turned in the biggest scores? We'll tell you coming up.
Hey, and then we'll take a trip out to Pennsylvania and tell you who's the champions at the First Frontier Circuit Finals, the largest paying circuit finals of the 2025 season, or 2026 season, I should say. We'll tell you more about it coming up on Western Sports Roundup.
Western Sports Roundup brought to you by Resistol, the official hat of Cowboys everywhere. We live it every day. Brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim. Live boldly. Live in rock and roll denim.
That's where he'll get to the points here. Yeah, kick. Oh! The qualifier from Waxahachie. Hey! Look at there for the world champion, 2-2. Oh, you got to rock, he's got to roll. There's your nod from the big man. Hot run last night. Dawson Graham, Dylan Graham, the brothers. Fort Worth, she needs you. Nod your head, we're riding. Yeah. How picture perfect.
Wow, there is something about Bob Tallman when it comes to the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. He is celebrating 50 years on the microphone, from the Will Rogers now to Dickies. He could write a book on what's happened at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo.
Yeah, and he could write another one about what's happened at the Reno Rodeo and another one about what's happened in Houston. And
and so on.
Yeah.
And pretty
Absolutely.
much, I'm going to buy that book, Bob, when you start to write it. But hey, speaking of what's happened in Fort Worth, we're starting to write the books for 2026. Let's go to Bareback Riding to sum up bracket number 1. Hard to believe it's already over. Jacob Lees gets out of bracket number 1 with $4,400 with a pretty impressive showing.
Yeah, 85.5 on his first one. That's Brookman's Lonesome Smile. But then he got on Lunatic Heaven. That's a horse of the year from last year in the second go-around and used the opportunity to the best that he could. 89.5 points for Jacob Lees, national finalist. Here's what he had to say to Katy Lucas.
When you're matched up with a horse of such a caliber, how do you not let the hype get in the way of your ride?
Really, you kind of just got to go out there and do your job. You know, I've done it a million times and trust God to get me through it, and He did. And had a little bobble in there at the beginning. Maybe I would have been a couple more, but shoot, that's a awesome horse.
How do you keep your head down in that moment when you spurred over her neck to make it through the rest of the ride?
Pray. yeah, just pray.
Well, Jacob Lees finished number 18 in the world last year. You know, he did become a dad last year, so he got to play dad for part of the season. Happy for him. But there's a look at the 3 that advance. You can see Orrin Larson in the wild card.
Yeah, so those 3 will move on, and that's the way that it works every bracket throughout the course of the rodeo. Let's talk about the steer wrestling next. Jacob Daniel, who's one of the guys who came through the qualifiers to get into the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. He was 4-7 third. He was 4-3 first. That's 9 flat on 2, but the big deal is he won $4,000, and that's how you advance on money won, and the money won moves him on to the next round.
Yeah, Ellis County Fair and Rodeo is where he qualified through Waxahachie, and it's an incredible opportunity for these athletes to be able to qualify to Fort Worth because they only take so many athletes, and luckily for Jacob Daniel, he got to stand alongside the interview with Anthony Lucia.
All right, Jacob, a big night tonight because you were one of our qualifiers from one of our many qualifiers for the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, the Ellis County Livestock Show and Rodeo. You capitalized last year, and now it gets you to Fort Worth, and you capitalized tonight, but you had a really good dancing partner.
I did, yeah. Joe Nelson did a really good job with that steer last night, and I'm going to try to do as good as he did.
So when you entered Waxahachie last year, was Fort Worth on your mind?
It really wasn't. I didn't even have a thought about it, and then all of a sudden I won it, and I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah, you can't tell me Fort Worth doesn't cross your mind. I've listened to George Strait. I know what the song says, but there's a look at the 3 that are advancing. Jacob Daniel, the big winner with the $4,000 out of bracket 1. Tyler Cheville having a great Fort Worth 2, and Colin Fox in that wild card. That's a look at the steer wrestling. But now we move on to team roping, and it was a pair of Canadians that really tore things up.
Yeah, a pair of brothers, a pair of Canadian champions, and a couple of go-round wins at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo a month ago. Dawson and Dylan Graham, 5-3 first in round 1, 5-6 third in round 2. That is a consistent way to get through the beginning of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. You can keep doing that, you're going to find yourself in pretty good shape. As you take a look at it, they won $4,000. Cody Snow and Hunter Cook won $3,500. Krieger and Fortenberry will move on as the wild card, $2,025 to the next go-round.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for the Graham boys to get out of there. They had a pretty impressive showing at the national finals too, like you mentioned. But now we look to saddle bronc riding. Here's the Linderman Award winner from Australia, finished in the top 40 the last couple of years. The 26-year-old Darcy Riddell moves on, and $3,375 is what he pocketed. You can see round 1, 84.5. Round 2, he gets a little bit better with 87.5. And there's a look at the 3 bronc riders that will advance, and Alan Bohr on that list, as well as Traylon Martin, South Dakota. That kid's a young talent from the 605. He's going to be pretty dangerous in that wild card event. I just have that wild feeling.
Yeah, $2,025 for Traylon. Let's go to the breakaway roping, where world champions showed why they're world champions. Shelby Beaujolais-Medjid, she stops the clock in a time of 2-2 twice. And that is good enough to earn her $4,129.85. There was a tie in there in go-round number 2 for Shelby, but doing what Shelby has done to make her, I think, probably a future Hall of Famer someday. It's awful early to be talking like that, but Shelby Medjid, 2-2, a pair of them. Here's the way that it looks. Shelby and Summer Williams, along with Riley George in the wild card. Riley George just keeps impressing. The beginning of her young career takes place, and you see those 3 are moving on.
You know, it's never too early to proclaim something that could be true in the future. I'm a firm believer in that. Now, kind of like this guy, future maybe, John Dausch. He's going to advance out of there. 5-time national finalist for him. He stops the clock in round 1 with a 10-4. Then really turns up the heat, 8-6. I think almost by a second and a half, he wins the round 2.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In Fort Worth, there are only 8 contestants per performance. So you're trying to beat 7 other guys. And on that night, the first night of the rodeo, 10-4, that's not going to get you a check in a lot of rodeos, but he was better than 6 out of the 8 guys. He won second with that time. $4,400 Cash Enderly and Ace Reese advanced. Ace Reese was a winner the other night in Fort Worth in the rookie rally. And he's a, 18, 19-year-old kid out of Texas, in Gila, Texas. $1,900 for Ace Reese. Remember that name. That is a young gun.
Yeah, a unique opportunity with that rookie rally that they had just a few nights ago. And Emily Beisel, though, she's no rookie.
Yeah, she's no rookie, and she's got a trailer load of horses. So this is round 1. Yeah, that's Chongo.
Yeah, that's Chongo.
1647. So what's she going to do in round 2? Because she's also got Liza in the trailer. Let's go out and be 1639. And in the process, let's win ourselves a pretty good-sized chunk of money. 7-time national finalist. $5,000 for Emily Beisel. Emily and Lisa Lockhart, who is creeping up on $4 million in her career. Sharon Gow is out of the Pacific Northwest, Roseburg, Oregon. She gets the wild card. Emily Beisel with Katy Lucas.
You said Liza has had a little time off. What made you think, all right, it's her time to shine?
She loved this rodeo last year. She won 3 out of the 4 rounds I ran her in. So, you know, it was hard to not pick her, but Chongo's a sure bet too. So like we talked about yesterday, what a blessing it is. I mean, I can't choose wrong between those horses.
You swept your pool. Does it make it all the more special doing it on 2 horses versus 1?
It does. I mean, they're a great team. I'm big on team effort out here. I have a posse of horses that they all have their strong suits. I do my best as their jockey to put them in the right position to win, and when I do, they sure show up and capitalize.
Emily was the only person in bracket number 1 to sweep her pool. One first, did it 2 nights in a row on 2 different horses.
She's going to roll a dice here before too long to decide which horse she's going to ride. But here's Braxton Whitesell. You're like, well, who is this kid? Well, I'll tell you who he is. He won the rookie performance they had a few nights ago. He got to come in to advance into a bracket, and what does he do? He goes 84.5 in the first round to sneak out of there.
Well, and he makes the only ride, so he gets all the money.
Yeah.
$7,400. Trevor Rice and Thane Elsher will advance. Thane was also in that rookie rally on Thursday night. Braxton Whitesell over 2 nights in Fort Worth, Thursday and Friday. Over $12,000. He won $4,700 at the rookie rally, and then he turned around and he won $7,400 in his bracket on that opening night.
Yeah, that kid from Louisiana, he's going to be fun to watch moving forward. Of course, tune in tonight. Steve Kenyon will be in the studio with you to take you through bracket 2, round 1, as it continues just down the road at Dickies Arena.
Yeah, and it's a great place to be. This thing really is legendary. When we come back, we're going to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and the First Frontier Circuit Finals, where they have made a major effort to kick up the added prize money for the contestants. We'll tell you all about it coming up on Western Sports Roundup.
Sitting with 2 of the founding members of the PBR. I'm sure people know that, and we're going to make them wait an hour to talk about it, because that's going to be one of the main things people want to hear about. But tell us about the story about
the PBR.
Yeah, the 20 guys.
It's the best thing ever.
So
I mean, unreal. You know, Gilbert and I, we rodeoed with the guys that we said. They're the greatest bull riders, athletes ever. They included us in on there's 18 of us that form the PBR. They included us in on the PBR. Gilbert and I everybody had nicknames. Mine and Gilbert's nickname was Munchkin. And and it was from the Wizard of Oz, the little Munchkins, right? That's what Ty nicknamed us. And they asked us to be part of it. Sure. Gilbert and I put on a bull riding in my dad and my older brother, Robert. And we're the first touring event to add 20,000. First ones to put dirt in the Pan Am Center in Las Cruces, and did it for 4 years. We won venue of the year, and yeah, I mean, it was all we did. So that's why our pro rodeo life, as far as rodeoing, was very short, because once we formed the PBR back in '93, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then come home Sunday, we're promoting. We'll fly in, promote the whole time, and then get on. But then back then, we're getting on 4 bulls. You know, we weren't just getting on 2 bulls each night, or 2 bulls and then 1 bull. We're getting on, am I right?
4 bulls a night?
4 bulls. Yeah, in a night. Before they went down to 3.
4 bulls in one night?
I was like,
that's unheard of.
I'm game. I was young at both Adam and I, and I can ride 4 bulls. Well, the guys, remember, they're a little older than us. Tough. You know, Cody Lambert and stuff, and there's some other guys with them, and they're like, "Man, we can't take 4 bulls." Yeah. I mean, the PBR is the greatest thing that ever happened to the sport of rodeo, to the Western industry. I mean, if you see it now, it has totally changed. When we made the national finals, all you did was show up at the secretary's office there at the Thomas and Mack, and they hand you your number and your stuff and say, "Good luck." Now they got red carpet, they got shows, they got stuff to promote you guys and promote yourself.
Right.
Because again, how many agents you got?
0.
Exactly. Gilbert and I were fortunate enough to have an agent and taught what we need to do.
Well, make sure you catch up with the Harris boys with Let's Freakin' Rodeo. You can catch all the episodes on the Cowboy channel and YouTube. You will not want to miss on all the cool stories they've been bringing to life in Western sports.
Yeah, it's been fun to have a chance to listen to Gilbert and Adam Carrillo and think back on their career, which was 30 years ago now, and what they have to say and the memories that they have to share. So let's go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and the First Frontier Circuit Finals Rodeo. 4 performances, lots of money. It paid over $5,000 just to win the average, over $2,000 to win a go-round. So do that math. Here's Tristan Bush in the Bareback Riding, $12,795. He was first in round 1, split round 4. He placed in all 4 go-rounds.
Yeah, he's also a bull rider, but the fact that you could win that much money, this is huge for pro rodeo. This is huge for the First Frontier Circuit Finals. This is their NFR up in the Northeast, and make no mistake about it, these guys really had fun. Take a look at steer wrestling. Clay Harp Jr. stops the clock with 4-3 and a 4 flat. That's just 2 of his highlighted runs that we've got. He wins just over $10,000.
Yeah, $10,363 for Clay Harp Jr., 27.2 on 4 as you watch him. This takes place in front of a big ag show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They've always got big crowds. TJ Smith, Scott Brown, and the team roping. They are 24-4. We're going to show you round 1 with a 5-5, round 3 with a 5-4. They won round 1. They were 4th, 2nd, and 1st in the average. That added up to $11,619.
Yeah, what a great payday for those team ropers right there. And as you look at saddle bronc riding, Ray Hotstetler really had a great season. He was the #1 guy all season long, and when it came down to it, showed up with the #1 back number in the bronc riding, and it was total domination from there. 291 points on forehead. He pockets $12,373.
31 years old, 1 round 3, 1 round 4. Here's Georgia Warner in the breakaway roping. She was 2-8 in round 2. She was 3-1 in round 3. And she's going to leave town with $8,165 in the breakaway roping as the aggregate winner. And, of course, all the average winners and all the year-end champions punch their ticket to the NFR Open next July in Colorado Springs.
That is correct. That was her rookie season, by the way. Now, here is Junior Myers in the tie-down roping. Now, he has qualified 20 times to the NFR Open Ram National Circuit Finals back in the day. Him and his wife, Jamie, they train a lot of great horses out in the Northeast. Matter of fact, a lot of the contestants that we watched out here probably on one of the horses that they started.
Yeah, J.R. Myers, a home state talent out of Pennsylvania, $9,421. Corey, you've got a great story to tell about this lady, Willie Horzeppa, in the barrel race.
Yeah, she is also a hunter jumper during the week. That's what she does. She likes to go to those hunter jumper shows. She wins over $10,000. Her horse, Diva, this is her 8th trip to the First Frontier Circuit Finals, and 2026 finally gets a go-round win. I think that's pretty cool and something to celebrate.
Yeah, $10,677 at the highest paying First Frontier Circuit Finals in history. So now let's talk about the bull riding. Nathan Bayos, 80 points on Painted Pony's Dark Knight, 84 on Cowtown Rodeo's Megatron. He placed in 3 out of 4 go-rounds. He won the average. The average win alone, $5,025. The total earnings, over $12,000.
Wow, this is just incredible payouts for the First Frontier Circuit. Hats off to them for coming up with this added money and making it bigger for the sport. I'll spit my words out here in just a moment. There's a look at the aggregate champions. That was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Congratulations to each one of them. But of course, coming up here on Western Sports Roundup, we will talk about the leaders after round 1 in bracket 2. That's from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Stick around, you're watching the Cowboy Channel.
Welcome to Western Sports Roundup. The Cowboy Channel is the exclusive home of the PRCA, your destination for the very best in rodeo action.
And WSR is now live on YouTube. You can watch the show in real time on both the Cowboy Channel and our own YouTube live stream, giving you even more ways to stay connected with us and to Western sports.
For example, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo where we've already taken you through bracket number 1. That was Friday and Saturday. So yesterday afternoon and tonight, bracket number 2, and they'll continue through each bracket till they get to the semifinals and eventually crown the champions on February the 7th. Let's talk about the top performers from yesterday at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Cooper Cook, another national finalist out of Idaho, 81.5 points. Rafter G, Rodeo's secret agent man.
Yeah, what a great performance, 81.5. $2,500 worth. He's going to have his hands full here tonight moving into this round. You said it earlier, you've only got to beat 7 other guys, but I think that's the unique thing about this tournament style format, because anybody could win. It's anybody's day.
$2,500 probably advances you, but you're not guaranteed.
No, not
You need
guaranteed.
to pick up another check just to make sure. Steer wrestling, let's talk about Tanner Bruner. How about a time of 3.7 for the NFR qualifier?
Yeah, this is a guy that won the bracket in 2024, so he knows how to win in this format and in this building. Tanner Bruner, the Kansas Cowboy, stopping it at 3.7. A great run and a great start for him.
Yeah, Chance Howard was 3.9. Stephen Culling was 4 flat. They were the top 3. Here comes the team roping. Tyler Tryon out of Montana on the head side. Boy, he reached right there. Levi Lord out of South Dakota. How about 2 feet to 4.3 to put them in the number 1 spot, worth $2,500.
You know, Tyler's the son of Clay Tryon. You know the story of the world champion. And I tell you, there's another Tryon, too, that you need to keep your eye on this season.
He's got a little brother who's roping with his dad.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be wild to watch how this unfolds. But 4.5, 4.6, those were the other 2 fast times in the first round bracket, too. But now let's go to saddle bronc riding. It was all about a Canadian. Lucas Moxa with Friendly Repo, 85 points.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid Canadians leaderboard right there. Lucas Moxa with an 85, and Q Taylor with an 84, and then Shea Fournier and Cash Wilson, both 82. So that's Louisiana and South Dakota splitting that 3rd spot. But Lucas Moxa in the number 1 spot. Let's go to the breakaway roping. And did we talk about a world champion in the first bracket in the breakaway? I think we did. Let's talk about the reigning world champion in the second.
I think so. You know, she loves roping in Fort Worth. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. That's how she won her gold buckle right here just down the street in the Coliseum. But she is 2 flat, a smoking fast run for Munsell. And, of course, Brooke Bruner up there with her as well. Martha Angeloni, 2.4. It's a tough bracket to be in.
Yeah, it really is a tough bracket to be in. And breakaway roping has gotten so tough top to bottom. So let's go to the tie-down roping next. Kincaid Henry, he's only 11 flat. Remember, you only got to beat 7 other guys. None of the 7 other guys were 10-9 or faster. So even though he had that little bobble with his string, he's still going to win the round. Cash Fees with an 11-7. Zach Youngblood with an 11-8. Kincaid Henry has the inside track to move on after winning $2,500 last night.
You know, watching this run, watch him go to string this calf. He does not even panic. He's just smooth, calm, and collect. I don't want to say he makes that mistake all the time, but he knew he had a chance to advance. All he had to do is get that calf tied down. And that's what made Kincaid Henry a Texas hero in Fort Worth. Yeah, not very far from Mount Pleasant, Texas. I know he had some fans in the house. And speaking of some fans, there's a lot of people that are cheering on this cowgirl, Haley Gibson Stillwell, and that beautiful Palomino horse. She's back.
Yeah, Piper is back. Remember, she won a go-around at the NFR on this horse. We did a story at the National Finals Rodeo about all the great Palominos at this year's NFR in the barrel race, and Haley certainly was one of them. $1,643, $2,500. Tricia Aldridge, that's another yellow horse. $1,679 on Adios Pantalones. And then Andrea Busby, who set a record in the aggregate 2 years ago in the number 3 spot at $1,694.
It's going to be a miracle if the announcers can keep up with the yellow horses this season, just saying. But this might be the coolest story of them all. Yeah. Trey Kimsey shows up a walk-up replacement. Jeff Burtis couldn't make it from South Dakota, so he's out. Trey Kimsey, next on the list, he gets in, and boy, it was worth it. He won all of the ground money.
Yeah, the only thing that was wrong with this ride was the get-off. He got walked on pretty good, but he gets all the money, $7,400. So Trey Kimsey, who's been to the NFR 4 times, will advance on and earn his spot in the next round at the Fort Worth Stock Show.
You're not wrong. Speaking of Fort Worth Stock Show, we have boots on the ground. Hopefully she has her snow boots on. Katy Lucas will have a chance to catch up with her coming up on Western Sports Roundup. Well, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo continues on in Dickies Arena. Regardless of the winter storm, Fern, it may have slowed Fort Worth down, but things are continuing to heat up at the Dickies Arena this year for the 2026 Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. And of course, as it continues to heat up, Katy Lucas is live inside Dickies right now. Thankful for heat in that beautiful arena, but things have been getting interesting, especially in the breakaway roping. It's getting fast out there.
Yeah, Corey, I don't know what you're talking about. It's balmy here in Dickies Arena. Beautiful arena, of course, and we've seen some awesome action from our rodeo contestants here in bracket number 2. I visited with Taylor Munsell before she roped yesterday, and she said when she checked the draw, she thought, all right, I have no choice. I have got to go fast, and that's exactly what they did last night. She ends up splitting the win in round number 1 with a 2-flat run, one of the fastest runs we've seen so far. We've actually seen a couple 1-second runs, but those have been with barriers. So just goes to show how fast you could be here. The ladies are going to be pushing it again tonight in the breakaway roping, just like Taylor Munsell predicted. It is a very, very fast set. So look for a lot of excitement from our breakaway ropers out once again tonight, especially too with Taylor Munsell and Brooke Bruner tying for the lead. That means they're not safe. Someone could win the round outright and surpass both of those gals. So their job is not done. They've got to pick up some more money tonight.
Yeah, remind everybody of the format. It's 2 performances per bracket, and the top money winners advance on to the next round in Fort Worth. Let's talk about steer wrestling, because, you know, one of the fun things to me, Katy, about the bulldogging is the great horses that we have going up and down the road. And you've got the last 2 Bulldogging Horse of the Year award winners, both in the performance tonight.
Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed when I saw the horses ride into the back of the box for the steer wrestling. As they all lined up there, I thought, man, there are some superstars out, not just from our 2-legged contestants, but 4-legged as well in the steer wrestling. A former Horse of the Year and always a contender for the title, Crush. He's here with Ty Erickson. Rowdy Parrott also rode him last night. And then Banker's been hanging out here since the start of the bracket as well. In this bracket, Stephen Culling and Stan Branco, they both rode Banker. Definitely an easy pick between both of those horses there, but that's a big thing that I noticed. Tanner Bruner, he is also riding his great horse, Miss Kitty, as well. Happy to have her underneath him, and it's a great night in the steer wrestling, but I know that the steer wrestlers will credit the horsepower to that.
Yeah, all sorts of horsepower inside Dickies tonight for this evening's performance. But hey, as we look for the horses, there's a horse that everyone's been kind of talking about, wondering, Haley Gibson Stillwell, where's her horse at? But rumor has it, she's back tonight.
Yeah, it was great to watch Piper last night. She said Piper hasn't been hurt or anything like that, but after the great showing at the National Finals Rodeo where they end up 6th in the average, 4th in the world, Haley said it was time to give Piper a well-deserved break. And, you know, she actually made a real game-time decision on what horse she was going to ride. She decided to pull the Palomino out and ride her here at Dickies, and she was so thankful for that decision and is so happy that Piper is coming back strong. Like I said, no injuries or anything like that. They just wanted to give that horse a well-deserved break after the national finals. But not bad at all for being at home for several weeks.
Yeah, and remember, of course, they won a round together at the Wrangler NFR in the process of accomplishing everything you talked about. So, Katy, we talked a lot about timed events. Let's go to the riding events. I thought one of the most interesting stories of the night last night was Trey Kimsey, who's a walk-up entry, ends up making an 80-point ride, the only ride of the night. And, oh, by the way, $7,400. He knows he's punched his ticket to the next round.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Steve. It was really exciting and kind of a Cinderella story. He went from not being on the draw to a shoe-in for the semifinals after he was the only bull rider to make the 8-second whistle last night. But he didn't come out of that ride unscathed. The bull stepped on both his ankle and his forearm. It made him pretty sore. He also has a nagging injury that he's been dealing with for about 10 years now on his wrist. And so he's actually decided to doctor's release out of this second performance tonight. But here's the interesting thing, and it's actually new to the ground rules this year at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. So just how Trey Kimsey was able to replace a contestant and get in the mix to try qualify for the semifinals, well, because he is doctored out of his pool, they're actually able to fill that position in our secretary's office, and the contestant that gets that spot will be able to compete and potentially qualify on one head for the semifinals. That's a brand new rule this year. So when Trey Kimsey decided he maybe wasn't fit to compete last night, our awesome secretary started making their way down the list, calling the contestants. Canyon Bass, he got on an airplane and got his butt to Fort Worth. They said he's been here since about 9 this morning. They actually were directing him to the concession so he could go get a bite to eat because he's been hanging out all day waiting for his shot to ride here at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo.
Well, that's an interesting look. I'm so glad that they have changed the ground rules on that, just to give somebody an opportunity. And the fact that Canyon Bass was able to get on a plane and get to DFW, maybe it's a godsend for him this week. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be an awesome story. 2 walk-ups could come out of one single pool just on one head apiece. We'll see what happens tonight. We'll see how many rides we get in the bull riding, but there is a very real opportunity for Canyon to move on from this semifinals, or from this bracket into the semifinals, just on one head.
I would love to know more about Canyon Bass's travel agent, because if you were watching the news this morning, there were literally thousands and thousands and thousands of flights canceled yesterday and today across the country. Somehow he managed to get here. And so that all by itself is pulling off a small miracle. Katie, enjoy your night at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo tonight.
Hey guys, thank you so much. And you know, even with the weather, we've had some great fans out here, about 3,000 last night. So it's going to be a lot of fun once again tonight for this Monday performance. We joke about it all the time, but we say every night is Saturday night in Fort Worth, and we're going to put on a great show this evening.
Well, we sure look forward to it. Steve Kenyon will be in the studio with you tonight to take you through Bracket 2 Performance 2, starting at 8:30 Eastern. It is going to be one to remember. Be careful if you're heading in to watch it tonight, though, on these icy roads. And speaking of ice, we're going to catch up from what happened a week ago out in Utah, the ski joring event. It is becoming a household name in Western sports. We'll tell you more about it here on the Cowboy Channel. Stay tuned.
Got to check out the Cowboy Channel Plus app. We've got something called Ski Joring. It is an event that involves horses, snow, ice, and people getting pulled behind a horse. In the Pro Division in Heber City, Utah, over the last week or so, this is a team called Stranger Danger. Yep, that guy's getting pulled by a horse, going over jumps, slalom skiing back and forth, and there it is. That is Ski Joring. If you missed Heber City last week, we've got an event coming up in Logan, Utah. This week, that'll be on January 30th and 31st, which is this weekend. You take a look at the beautiful mountains of the great state of Utah, and you can watch all of this live on the Cowboy Channel Plus app.
Well, it is time for our Veteran Top 3, Clean Treat and Heel. And, of course, the Mile High City was a definite high for a few contestants who were crowned the champions at the National Westerns. Congratulations to all of them.
And they paid out over $300,000 at the First Frontier Circuit Finals Rodeo over the weekend. That's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You take a look at some of the action. The average paid over $5,000 all by itself at the First Frontier Circuit Finals Rodeo. The aggregate champions and the year-end champions all have the opportunity to qualify now for the NFR Open in Colorado Springs in July. The Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, bracket number 1 is in the books. Bracket number 2, we'll wrap it up tonight. The top 3 will advance on and compete in the semifinals, and bracket number 3 starts tomorrow at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. That is a look at Mule Alley, and that's a look at the Stockyard Station here in Fort Worth.
I hope it looks like that tomorrow when the snow melts. On behalf of Steve Kenyon and Corey Keith and all the guys upstairs, good night, everybody. Enjoy the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo.